What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fandom Empire Live, episode 2 of the relaunch here. I know there's still people figuring out when to watch the episode, how to watch the episode, what the episodes are about. I see Dustin in the chat rifled off a question of if Dean was no longer collaborating with the channel, which we've already made an announcement on. He is not. He chose to go do his own thing. From what I understand, that thing is currently being worked on, and we wish him nothing but the best in doing that. The Michael walking to the camera in the rain was well done. Indeed. Indeed. We have so much more Michael stuff I wish I could just put out there, and maybe one day I just will, just for the sake of getting it out there. Without further ado, though, joining me on episode 2 of this Phantom Empire Live relaunch, I probably should have asked him if it was okay to mention anything beforehand. So all I will say is welcome to the man behind Bro Before Pros. He's had a really hard day, so any love to be sent Johnny's way would be appreciated. How you doing, brother?
I'm surviving. I'm happy to be. I'm excited to be here, which, considering the day I've had, should be the opposite of how I'm feeling. But getting on here with friends and talking fandom always lightens the spirit just a little.
Yeah, and we are very much in the rebirth of Fandom Empire and the live show. Kieran was set to join us today, but he's feeling under the weather, so he will not be here on tonight's episode. Matt's stepping in for the first couple of segments here. Him and I watched a Halloween fan film recently. We're going to give our thoughts on that. But without further ado, joining us, he's co-host here at Fandom Empire Live. Big part of our Star Wars content. Sporting a Halloween shirt tonight, might I add, too. It's Randy. What's going on, dude?
No, not a whole lot. Just technically gearing up for Halloween since it's only a couple days away. Plus, binging horror movies as I can. So it's been fun, just kind of catching up on stuff that I haven't seen in a while. Like I actually took the time to sit down and watch The Shining for the first time in a long time, and I think
did you watch it during the day or at night?
It was during the day because I was at work. However, I do have a newfound appreciation for it that I didn't have when I watched it like 20 years ago. So there is that.
Well, I suppose I'll let you off with that one. I don't know. The Shining is. It's not like it's the only movie I think this way about, but like for me, that's a movie where you want to watch, if not alone, with as few people as possible at nighttime when it's dark. It just, to steal a Dave McRae saying, the mood and atmosphere. Also joining us,
Sorry, boobs and atmosphere.
yeah, that was a different thing from back in the day. Yeah, I guess we'll give a shout out to Mr. Frank Riker for coming up with that one many moons ago. But also joining us tonight, he is a sponsor here at the channel. It'd be really hard to do the content that we do without him. He is also a contributor here, a mod, and all sorts of other things, doing his best skinny Sean cosplay tonight. It's Matt. What's going on, buddy?
I don't have to do skinny, Sean. I already look better than Sean, so I don't have to do much. Hey, stop shaking your head down there.
You stole my beanie look, man. You
stole my
hipster
right
look.
there.
My head's been cold all day. It's been cold. So that's
Total shocker.
Stop saying those. Don't say that word. You know me and that word. I don't like that word, Randy. And it's not because I hate that movie from back in the day. There's other reasons. So Randy, never say that word again.
Total shocker?
No, shocker.
Oh, the shocker.
The shocker. Randy knows.
I want to ask questions, but at the same time, I'm terrified of the answers I might get.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
Dustin says he watched Halloween 2018 and Kills this afternoon. Really enjoy those movies overall, minus a few gripes I have for 2018. A few more for Kills. Yeah, we're going to do a Kills watch along here, hopefully this week. We can put it together. We had our H4 plans kind of derailed. So something came up with Mike, and he's not going to be able to do that prior to Halloween, which means I think I'm just going to opt to watch that one with the family and not have to worry about doing a watch party for it and just sit back and enjoy it. I haven't seen the 4K of it yet, so
Do y'all have AMC up there? The channel AMC?
we
Okay.
do. But I haven't had apparently we have access to it through Prime. So
Yeah, we
yes,
yeah
I don't look
yeah
at
they've
it
had
that way anymore.
they've had nightmares all on today, and then tomorrow and Thursday there's gonna be nothing but Halloweens. Just so you might, if y'all want to sit down and watch one.
They're going to show Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2 on repeat, huh? Just
I
go
know,
back and forth with those two movies.
they're gonna go 1, 2.
Johnny won't turn his TV off.
They want to get viewers, not lose them.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure that's how it worked.
No, they're doing 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, H2O, Resurrection, and Rob Zombies 2. And they're doing Season of the Witch. I think they start off with Season of the Witch tomorrow.
So let's dive into this here. We're not going to spend too much time on it because we're going to have them on the channel in the not too distant future. But this past week, Braden Timmons, after years of hard work, released part 1 of his finale 2-part series, The Last Nightmare, a Halloween fan film set in the Halloween H20 timeline. It's about 45 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube. I definitely have my initial impressions. I wasn't aware Matt had a chance to see it. So we're going to get his initial impressions, then I'm going to give a little bit of a review, and then we'll move on. Matt, what were your thoughts on Braden Timmons' The Last Nightmare?
It
Part
was
1.
up there with Never Hike Alone for me. The cinematography was so well done. Just all around. There was a little bit of the acting. I could go either way on that. If I had a gripe, maybe there's just a little bit of the acting I wasn't too keen on, but everything else, how he played the music with it, and when he did it, it was just so well done. Like I said, if I only had a gripe, so a little bit of the acting, mostly from the sheriff, because he came up a little weak for a sheriff who just lost one of his best. I don't want to tell too much, but yeah. But yeah, initially, other than the acting, I think it was very well done. Cinematography, Brain's cameo, and the music, well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably had. I wouldn't say they're the exact same gripes, but maybe some similar gripes to you. But once you get past that, it's a very well put together Halloween fan film. It's paced well. It's not too long. If anything, it might be a touch short, but there's another part coming. I thought it was executed very well. It was aesthetically pleasing. The shape, I thought, was incredible in this fan film. In my opinion, mind you, it's a fairly original look for the character. You get the white mask and everything. But what they did to the mask, if anybody hasn't seen some of the visuals from the movie, I would compare it to, I don't know, almost like The Crow or Joker, or that kind of change to the mask. The way Michael is presented in the movie might be my favorite of any Halloween fan film. Just very well executed by them. Love the look. I think the mask looks amazing, especially in certain lighting. Like it goes from a 9 to a 10 in my opinion. The acting was okay. The editing seemed really good. The part that blew me away was the score.
Oh
Right,
God,
they
yes.
went with a completely original score, made from scratch. Obviously, some heavy Halloween inspiration in there. Even the main theme is not the Halloween theme; it's a play on the Halloween theme. Um, and I know they did that to combat what Trancas has been doing with a lot of the Halloween fan films online. And let me tell you, they knocked it out of the park. For my money, the best score I've ever heard in any fan film period, let alone any Halloween fan film.
I agree.
So they absolutely knocked it out of the park in regards to that. Did you have any final thoughts before giving it a score out of 10?
No, I should have uh said my love for how Michael looked in it and how Michael was portrayed in it. I mean, the mask dead on. Like you said, it's a Halloween mask, but you're like, you see what they've done with it, and you're like, man, that's kind of nice. And then whoever the guy was playing him had it just enough. He didn't overdo it, but he didn't underdo it, so it's just enough to just get you more into it. And then, like, by the end of the movie, you're like, damn, when is the second one coming out? Because that's exactly how I felt after I watched it.
Yeah, I believe their goal is to get it out for next October.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind them waiting a little bit because I think they're going to be in tough against Halloween Aftermath and what James Grimm and company are doing over there. But I'll sign me up for good Halloween anytime.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. It was quite good, and I could listen to the score on repeat over and over again.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could run it through the speakers from the TV and run YouTube and just have it going throughout the house. Bluetooth that sucker. All throughout.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was that good. Yeah, I'm up there with you. Probably an 8.
Yeah.
My only knock is a little bit of the acting.
I think it makes up for it in other areas, though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Important to remember that this wasn't some like $100,000 production or anything like that.
No.
I think they did the most with what they had, and they did an excellent job at doing it. Really excited for everybody to get their hands on it. And I've been saying for all this year, you get The Last Nightmare Part 1 this year, you get Halloween Aftermath next year. It's nice fill in the gap material until the next Halloween project comes out. So, but yeah, I think they did as well as they could have done with it, really. Check out The Last Nightmare Part 1, available on YouTube now. You can check Braden out on X at Bat, BATTIMMONS. Check him out. Great shit. And definitely a Halloween fan film worth watching. Speaking of films and films that are coming out, I'm going to sort of go off the map here a little bit and skip a topic. Happy Gilmore 2, well into principal photography. Bunch of famous cameos clearly going to be in it, maybe more than cameos. Like, I don't believe the MJF role is a cameo. I believe he has he's basically a supporting cast member in that movie, to my understanding. Playing one of Happy's sons, if I recall correctly. Where are we with Happy Gilmore 2, guys? I'm a huge Happy Gilmore fan. It's my favorite Adam Sandler movie. I think for 2+ decades, I wanted a Happy Gilmore sequel. And I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to watch it the first damn day it comes out. But this kind of feels like, to me, when you wait way too long to do a sequel to something and its time has passed. Like, the biggest example that I can think of would be Dumb and Dumber, when they brought Jim Carrey and
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels back. And what was it, Dumb and Dumberer?
Yeah, that was the one they
movie
were in.
didn't come close to hitting for me at all. And like, it was never going to be the first movie. Happy Gilmore 2 is never going to be better than Happy Gilmore. I think it just needs to be a quality film that's funny and respectful. I don't think it can come across as like a spoof, because then you ruin a little bit of what you built up. Johnny, over to you first, man.
Well, I mean, the comparison to Dumb and Dumber is apt yet worse, because I'm pretty sure both of those movies came out the same year. So, here we are almost 30 years after Happy Gilmore first came out. Personally, I think we're about 20 years too late, but I'm excited for it. Saying anything else would be a lie. Not just because, much like you, it is arguably my favorite Adam Sandler movie. There are a couple others that could make a case, but it is without question top 3, without question, with zero thought. And I'm excited for it. It's one of my favorite sports movies. It's my favorite non-Big 3 sports movie. And I'm excited for it. They're pulling in the right people around it to make it more interesting from the present day. Like, MJF notwithstanding, that could have not happened and I'd still be this happy. But knowing that there are people in it getting cameos that I know, that I care about, that I'm interested in seeing interact with Happy, I'm all for this. I love the idea of this, and so far all we've seen, there was one little fan shot thing from a scene they were shooting that came out on Twitter about a month, 2 months ago, roughly. It was Happy and family, or presumably family, coming out of a courthouse for some reason. So, more off the court shenanigans with Happy, which I'm excited for. I love all of this. My only regret is that we can't in any way have Chubbs in the movie. That's really the only thing that I'm like, damn. It's this, we're not going to get that ghostly Chubbs shows up to Happy before something big happens and gives him a pep talk that only Chubbs can give him. We can't have that because, we waited too long for the sequel. So, other than that, I'm excited for this. I'm excited to see who gets the, oh my goodness, why name, why can't I think? Price is Right, Bob Barker. That would have eaten me up all night if I couldn't remember Bob Barker's name. I want to know who gets the Bob Barker cameo. Like, some people think that we know Travis Kelce is in the movie. Is he the Bob Barker? Or is he just another one of those, sportsy celebrities that shows up in the Pro-Am, which presumably Happy's going to play in again. I'm excited for this. I can't wait for this. It cannot come soon enough for me, but the excitement is not as high as it would have been 20 years ago.
Randy, how about you, buddy? Where's your excitement for Happy Gilmore 2, if any?
Well, I'll start with this: it's going to be a sequel I never asked for. However, it's a sequel that I'm pretty excited for, just because not only is it as long as they at least adhere to paying homage to the original well enough, but it's giving Happy Gilmore rebirth, a renaissance of sorts with the next generation. I think it's cool that they got MJF and like Kelsey and others to come in, and whether it's cameo or supporting role, just that alone is really cool. And it shows just the legacy and just how beloved Happy Gilmore was from when we were kids, essentially. With that, I mean, obviously, I don't see it being as good as the original, and that's fine as long as it hits on the proper notes. And we all know the notes we that they have to hit on. I mean, it's great that we're going to get Shooter McGavin back, and that you have to have that prick in there, because that dude was one of the big driving forces of the last movie. So I'm really curious to see if they could still have that chemistry, that animosity. That would be that's something I'm really looking forward to seeing. Other than that, I think really it's a nice trip down nostalgia lane, and I'm always all for those types of movies that kind of give you that little feel good nod back to our childhoods, and I think that's what we're going to get here, and I'm ready for it. Obviously, they're still, filming and whatnot in certain spots, but just gotta be patient, and hopefully it's at least half as good as the first one, if not a little bit better. I just hope it's not some total lame duck thing that they just kind of missed on, because like you guys said, it's just been so long.
Matt, how about you, man? Where's your excitement level for Happy Gilmore 2?
I mean, I'm up there too. I mean, I'm going in there not expecting this to beat the original, because if you do, you're going to be disappointed. But I really think those are memorable characters. There were Shooter, Happy, Julie Bowen's character. I can't think of her name. That they're bringing back, and then you add Kelsey and MJF, which I think were very smart moves. It's got my interest really peaked in how they're going to employ everybody, and usually when you have those cameo scenes, they're done right. They're not like, man, what the hell do you have him in there? There was no reason to have him in there. But so usually Sandler movie cameos are fairly well done, in my opinion. So I'm excited to see it. We don't have a definitive 2025 release date, do we?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's set for 2025.
That's
I know.
set, but there's no specific date.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, but yeah,
I don't think
I
there
believe
is.
it's 2025. So
Just
I don't see why it wouldn't be. No, I don't see why it would be next year.
Wait.
It's not like they're shooting
you mean to say you don't see why
Star
it
Trek,
wouldn't
Star
be
Wars
next year?
movie. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't even talk. Sorry. But yeah, definitely interested. Definitely can't wait to see it.
Conservative Amber says, just finished watching Halloween 1 through Halloween Ends this past week. Halloween Ends was a mistake, made my boy Michael look weak. Well, I definitely don't disagree with that.
She's right.
Yeah, they were all over the place with their planning for that trilogy, though. So
They planned that trilogy?
well, I mean, they were at
They
one
planned
point
it.
in time. Speaking of unplanned trilogies, stay tuned to the back half of the show.
Jamie wanted to make sure it was a trilogy, and she got her way, because that's usually how it happens with her. And
it sucks because they just in the last few years they've lost Bob Barker, just very recently lost Carl Weathers,
that big guy's still alive, I think.
the fella who I can't believe I'm forgetting the comedian's name, but played the "You will not make this putt, you jackass," passed away as well.
Jack Flaherty.
So that's it. Thank you. So like they've lost a lot, and Sandler was speaking about that too. He was on, I don't know if it was Kimmel or someone else, but he just said, "Look, what we originally planned, we've had to like kind of go away from a little bit." So, for me, it still needs to feel like Happy Gilmore. And I think the most effective way to do that is to probably give us a heavy amount of Shooter McGavin.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Stiller is another character that you can bring back that never really got his comeuppance in that first movie, right? Like that's a theme that, as long as him and Sandler are on good terms, I like that feels like a shoo-in. The one
I don't know
scene
how we
where
get
you
back
go,
to him, but I definitely want to get back to him.
right? And like if you've seen Hubie Halloween, there's a nod to that character at the very beginning of the movie. Like he literally plays that character. But yeah, like that feels like a given. For me, those are the two big things I can probably do is lots of Shooter and give us the Ben Stiller finally gets his comeuppance. That'd be great. But yeah,
And I would expect Kevin Nealon also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'll try to have as many of those people around as they can. The main thing is going to be where the story is, right? Like, I doubt very much we're going to find out Happy Gilmore kept playing in the PGA Tour. You know, maybe he did for a year or two, but this definitely feels like he went home and probably hasn't touched a golf club in 20 years. So that's the story I'm guessing we're going to get.
I'm curious if he's still married to
Virginia.
Virginia.
Well, she's in the movie.
I
know she's
assume
in
so.
it.
They have a family, unless she's not the mother.
Right.
Ooh, plot twist.
More
He's
Povich.
just married to friggin' air conditioner lady.
He got
No, he married the Chinese lady.
Oh God. Wow.
So he really did kiss her all over?
Yes.
You could go woke and have him marry the caddy, which will just piss off everybody.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. The caddy
No.
is blacklisted from Happy Madison Productions now.
Is he? I noticed he hasn't been
in
since I think Hubie Halloween. I think he came back and had a very minor role in that. If I remember correctly.
That was the last one he was in. That was a Happy Madison movie.
I think his black.
I guess he might have been in Home Team. That one was that a Happy Madison movie?
Which one?
The Kevin James, Sean Payton movie.
Yes.
That was a Happy Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess he was in that one. That was his last one. But he said some
I think the
stupid things that got him kind of kicked out of the club.
Yeah, I don't know if that happened before Hubie Halloween or after. I mean, either way,
the Kevin James movie was 2022. Hubie Halloween was 2020.
His role wasn't significant, anyways. You don't need that character pull off that movie. So, but yeah,
you could always have. I've heard Roman's Tiger is going to be in it.
That's distinctly possible.
Yeah, he could be. No, he could be Happy's caddy. That would be funny. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know if he can walk that far.
I could see him being Happy's partner in a tournament, or like his, in the foursome with Happy during a tournament.
Yeah.
I do know in the category of I like this, John Daly is in the movie as well.
Oh yeah.
So
I think there's a bunch of big golfers appearing in it. They haven't released the list yet.
Just the John Daly and Happy Gilmore combination, I think, is amazing. They're like the perfect pairing of a real life golfer and a fake golfer. That's the perfect pairing. All they can do is hit long shots.
They're gonna go. They're gonna go Lake the Big Tahoe one, the Big Tahoe invitation.
I wouldn't rule out Tiger Woods either. I think that's a legitimate possibility.
Oh yeah,
it makes too much sense.
Yeah, if Tiger's willing to have some fun at his own expense.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
then I could totally see Happy being like, "I'm just as bad at this as you are now," or something like.
Oh, that'd be funny
along those lines. So, so many good possibilities. It's just, if I'm being frank,
I didn't know there was a Franken movie.
A lot of misses from Sandler over the last several years. I don't think the Netflix deal. I don't think they've put out very many good movies at all. I think, you can count on one hand how many good ones there are, and probably only use two fingers.
You think?
Hubie Halloween I liked quite a bit, and I'm struggling to find the next one. I can't give him credit for Uncut Gems. It's not his movie, although he was incredible in it.
I mean, that's fair if you want to go from him producing perspective. That's fair, because I definitely have to give him credit for Uncut Gems, because that's a performance the performance out of character for him that it's amazing.
That's probably right up there with. He did this movie with Don Cheadle years ago, where he plays a man who's had a complete mental collapse because his family was killed in the 9/11 attack, and it's a very, heartfelt movie that he's just very, very good in it. I believe he's autistic in it as well.
Oh, is that Reign Over Me?
That's it. That's the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really good. I remember renting that back in the day without seeing a preview, thinking, "Oh well,
Adam Sandler. It's got to be funny, right?
yeah, right," and
Oh.
watched it and fucking basically had me sobbing. It's like, what the fuck? This is not what I ordered.
I wanted to laugh, not cry.
But yeah, there you have it. Happy Gilmore 2 on its way, unless something really bad happens in post production or they find a reason to schedule reshoots that can't happen in a timely fashion. This movie should come out next year. That being said, Johnny, we're gonna get to our Fandom Buzz topic of the night or topics of the night. I'm going to pull up the graphic on screen as a reminder as how we do this. If you can pull the topics up, since I cannot do both at once. Here's a reminder for how this works. Fandom Buzz. You get 5 options to rank rumors that are out there in the TV universe, movie universe, gaming universe, you name it. We'll bring it up, and you decide if it's an FE1, no chance it happens, all the way to an FE5. It's a lock. What do we think about the rumors making its way around or making their way around Hollywood at this point in time? Johnny, what do we got first?
Well, first up, we have Dewey returning.
So there's a rumor out there that Dewey might return in Scream 7. Now, if you've seen Scream 5, Dewey got gutted. If, they have, oh my God. Is it Skeet Ulrich that plays the ghost? Ulrich or whatever?
Yeah, Billy.
Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
So like he makes appearances in 5 and 6, obviously, despite being dead. So I don't know if we can go to the card of you can't have Dewey in the movie if he's already dead, because they've kind of already gone there, right?
Mhm.
But I think what worries me is whether you like Scream or not, I commend them for sticking to one timeline. I'm a bit worried that they're going to go back and just say 5 and 6 didn't happen and 7's a sequel to 4 or even 3. So when I hear Dewey being back, I've got to pull up the rankings list here and say at this point I'm going to give it an FE3. It could go either way, really. I wish I was saying it was an FE1, but I think there's a legitimate chance it happens. Who's next?
Yeah.
Who's tackling it?
I'm also going to go with an FE3. It could go either way. Now, hear me out, okay? Okay. David Arquette playing Dewey in a Stab remake.
That works.
Yeah?
That could work.
So my thing with that is I've always said they should just go make a Stab movie. Make the movie Stab.
I thought the Wayans brothers did. That was a scary movie.
Which is getting another movie, by the way.
Oh God.
It's okay.
just
The
wrapped
Wayans brothers
today.
are back.
I did see that Damon and his son have their own show on CBS.
I've heard less than funny things about that show.
Oh God. Then I guess I won't watch it.
I haven't watched it yet. This is just from things I've read from a multitude of people that it's not as funny as it should be because the premise is a little wonky. But I still plan to watch it and give it a shot anyway because, Damon Sr. and Jr., that how can you screw that up?
Yeah, that's what you kind of think. For me, it's probably gonna. I think it's most likely gonna happen, and I think, you could be onto something that he could be. This could be something to do with Stab, or 5 and 6 never happen, so this is a sequel to 4. And I think you could also, and I'll tell you one thing, I would be shocked if Matthew Lillard's not in it.
We did that last week.
Did we? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
I was here. Duh.
We did. Sorry, I got a dog getting angry. But
Right.
yeah, I could see Lillard coming back. His comments were very could go either way sort of thing. But it also feels like it's that one thing that they just seemingly don't want to do for whatever reason. What do we got next, Johnny? Wait, hang on. I don't think Randy got to
I was
go.
going to say, did Randy?
I skipped
No,
Randy.
I did not. You did skip me.
I'm a bitch.
So I'm gonna go with an FE2. I think what they're doing is intentionally putting rumors out there to kind of get the fan base talking. You know, Willie, won't he? Just so they can try to keep people on their toes and get people in the theaters. Be like, did they actually pull it off? Same with Matthew Lillard. So I feel like that's kind of what they're trying to play at right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like with, it's kind of hard to come back from having your gut spilled unless you're planning on retconning something, right? So, but at this point, I'm just going to have to go with the FE2 for now unless something more substantial comes out.
Did real quick, did Patrick Dempsey confirm for it?
He may as well have. Like he went on at length about it and said that he's looked at scripts and they're figuring things out, and considering Scream moved filming around 2 of his projects, I'd be utterly stunned if Patrick Dempsey's not in it.
Mm-hmm.
What's next, Johnny?
All right, next up we have Rock versus Roman versus Cody.
Well, there you have it right there, guys. Last week we talked a little bit of AEW. This week we're talking a little bit of WWE. And the heavy rumored main event, and there's 2 of them that I've heard, is either Rock versus Cody or Rock versus Roman versus Cody. And forgive me being the Punk guy, and I was well aware this was going to happen when he went there. But Punk has been hotter than all 3 this year, has drew more money in terms of merchandise sales. I hope whatever happens, and Punk doesn't, trip over an ice cream cone and break his back, that he gets the night 1. I'm starting to doubt that's going to happen, though, and I like Heel Rock too. Heel Rock, my favorite version of his character by a long shot. He's a lot of fun. He gets to do more. It's not as tropey as we get with Face Rock. I gotta tell you though, guys, and maybe it's spoiled from certain AEW matches, the idea of the 3 of those guys being in a triple threat match as the main event for WrestleMania does not do it for me. And I'll allow a little extra conversation on this one before you give your FE whatevers, and I'm going with basically an FE5 here, that it's either the 3 of them or Rock and Cody. Personally, if it was me, I would be doing Rock versus Roman on one of the nights and Punk versus Cody, because if everybody goes back to, and Punk can lose, that's fine, whatever. But if you go back to the promos they had before Punk got hurt leading into the Royal Rumble, effing money. Like, out of all the promos he's done, the Drew stuff was hot, so I love the Drew stuff. The Steph stuff's been good too. But I really like the stuff he had going with Cody. And so as a Punk fan, I'm a little about it. But just taking Punk out of the equation, I don't know. Name value wise, I'd be an idiot to sit here and say, well, that doesn't do anything. Obviously, putting those 3 guys in the main event does something, especially in Las Vegas. But yeah, it's probably an FE5, even though it's not really for me. Johnny?
I think this match as a triple threat, I think it's an FE3 and it could go either way. Smart money says you split them up. I am a traditionalist. in the sense of I like my WrestleMania main event to be one-on-one, mano a mano. It's the biggest match of the year. There are very few exceptions to that rule. And off the top of my head, any WrestleMania that has had a multi-man match in the main event slot has not been as good for me, for my money. Like, I can't point to one and be like, oh, that's the best match on the card. That's the main event. That's the one I think about, 10, 15 years later, because that's
I
not true.
I thought Michaels HBK Michaels and HBK, yeah. I thought HBK, Triple H, and Benoit there.
That one
That
might
was
be
about
the
as good as it
exception,
gets.
but unfortunately, events have kind of, shined a big spotlight on that match and said, man, great match, but in a much more grandiose way than, there aren't very many main events where you can point to both guys and be like, there's something about you that the world shouldn't like, which is kind of a sad statement to the upper tier of pro wrestling, but I digress, and say that, that's probably the exception. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that is in the main event slot that was both a great match, a great moment. It was the trifecta of WrestleMania. It was a great match, a great build, and a great moment to wrap it all up. It had the trifecta, but we can't talk about it as much anymore because of obvious reasons. But other than that, I hate the triple threat. I hate the fatal four-way. I hate multi-man matches at the top of WrestleMania because, to me, it speaks poorly about your booking. Because if you get to WrestleMania and don't have one guy ready to take that next step, you've done something wrong throughout the last year. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. Obviously, 2005 is, not 2005, 2006, WrestleMania 23, I guess 2007? No. Six, seven, whatever. WrestleMania 23. You kind of had to throw Eddie or Rey into that moment because of Eddie. Like, you hadn't spent the last year building to him, but the moment was too big to pass on, and that was one of those like WrestleMania 30 waves where the people sort of changed your booking and made you change your hand, and that doesn't usually work. Usually it's the guy you've built up over the last year and a half, 2 years that's ready to take that next step. So I hate the triple threat entirely. But for me, the money match is Roman and Rock. Period. And if you don't pull that off now, stop trying. Stop dancing around it. We've been waiting for this match for the better part of 4 years. It is now or never for that match, in my opinion. One-on-one, mano a mano. And you can't say, oh, well, you can do it at SummerSlam. It's a two-night. No, it's not. It's not WrestleMania. That match is WrestleMania main event. Any other time it is wasted. This is that time. It's now or never. You pull that off. Now, I know that means there's going to be a title match relegated to the undercard. Oh, well. I'm sorry, and I'm going to say it. I'm sorry, CM Punk, but you're not getting the main event over The Rock. You didn't get it then. You're not getting it now. Because The Rock is still The Rock. The Rock is still the biggest name.
Well, now he's more powerful than he was before.
Even without that, The Rock is a bigger name in the zeitgeist than he was then, which is saying something because he was already huge then.
I don't understand and we'll get Randy and Matt in here. I know they're jumping at the bit to tackle this one, but and I know this was more of like a general discussion one, but I don't understand the obsession that they have over Cody Rock. Like, yeah, they were involved in the same thing last year, and there was the slap and the Mama Road stuff, but like, to me, it was never about getting to, oh, we need Cody and Rock to have a match, and obviously Rock pinned Cody on night one, but like, for me, it was all about, this is the next chapter to get to Rock versus Roman. I'm sorry, I firmly believe your WrestleMania card is more successful if you're doing Rock versus Roman and Punk versus Cody. Let Punk go heel, because I don't think they're turning Cody heel, although that would make one hell of a super heel if they did it and did it successfully. Like, I just think it works better that way. And then you have, as much as I love Punk, Seth can probably give Gunther a way better match than Punk can at this point in time. So, like, stick those two together. I don't know. It just, someone there fell in love with the idea of Rock versus Cody. Maybe it's the Rock himself, in which case we're fucked.
I think that's more the fans than the company from putting them together as a singles. Because even when The Rock's talking, it's still sort of pushing that Samoan heritage narrative. The head of the table, the chief, all of those things, they can only point to Roman. And you have the table set. You have a extremely over babyface Roman. Like, this, Roman Reigns is the character now they wanted Roman Reigns to be 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Like, when Rock threw his hand up at the Royal Rumble and the crowd booed him, they wanted the babyface reaction they're getting now, which just further proves the point that if it's not working, change it up, and maybe it'll work later. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know, the entirety of The Rock's career.
I feel the opposite. I feel Roman was more over at Mania, as I think everybody knew it was coming to an end. There was almost no way Roman was leaving Mania with the title 2 years in a row.
I mean, that's the wave we're still riding, though, right? So, like,
I just don't.
I'd
feel
argue
like his return
Roman's
has been
Roman's
over the moon.
babyface turn started the night Rock came back.
Exactly.
That's the night Roman's babyface turn started, and it's just sort of built up to that moment, and now we're there. Now we have it. And
so to be clear, you gave it an FE what?
3.
FE3. I'm unfortunately FE5. That it's either Cody versus Rock or all three versus one another. Randy,
Cody
what
Rock
about you,
is a
man?
SummerSlam main
And we'll
event,
get Matt
not a
to finish
WrestleMania
up.
main event.
Feel free to take the floor for a while, but I know we went on there.
Yeah, you're good. So I'm going to go complete opposite here, and I'm going to pull an FE1 here because the main event it was supposed to be, and I still think will be, Rock and Roman. That's what they've been. The rumors have been going for a while now. I think the triple threat hurts it because that pretty much you're pretty much saying that either The Rock or Roman are need actually a little extra support from Cody to kind of help keep things going. When I just feel like The Rock is going to be in the best shape of his life. He's going to be in ring shape. He's going to be ready. So I think that to make it a triple threat is kind of like a slap in the face to the story that these two guys can be telling, considering, obviously we're all thinking, or at least we have an idea that The Rock is essentially the leader of the new bloodline, or the reason for the new bloodline, just to kind of oppose Roman. As far as Cody goes, I could see Punk, or I could, depending on how they decide to play it off, you could even throw Orton or KO in a match with him potentially. So there's that. I still feel like we need that payoff for Punk and Rollins, and I know we will at some point get Rock and Cody, but I think that's more something like, say, the Royal Rumble, or as Johnny was saying, the SummerSlam next year. I do not think we see those two really go at it once this new bloodline versus old bloodline thing really just takes off at Survivor Series. I think that's when we're really going to get that Rock reveal, and that's when it's going to start building towards that WrestleMania main event. So it's an FE1 for me that we're getting a triple threat.
So what was the question again? Because I know we've gone and started talking about
Rock, Roman, Cody, triple threat, WrestleMania.
Ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all. I don't think they've dropped so many like little tidbits along the way that this is where we're heading. Why throw Cody in it? And one person nobody's talking about is Cena. Cena's gonna get he's gonna break the title. He's gonna get the belt, and he's gonna win the title. It's either gonna happen.
I agree.
It's either gonna happen at Mania or SummerSlam.
I don't think there's a snowball's chance it's Mania. I personally, John Cena is doing the job at WrestleMania. And I'm still saying what I said when he announced this tour. It's Braun Breaker.
You think?
He's the next guy. He has it. He has everything they want in their main event level talent. He gets the rub from John Cena because he's the one who needs it most right now.
But I thought they were talking about turning Braun babyface.
Even with the
teases,
teases they've been doing on TV with like him and Jacob Fatu, like I look at the comments from a lot of people on Twitter, and that's a WrestleMania main event in 3 years, and I agree. I definitely think that those two guys have all of the potential in the world to be the next generation main eventers, because we're reaching a point now where you need those next guys. It's next man up time, and they are those next men. Fatu gets the rub of inevitably beating Roman.
Do you think?
Braun?
Do you think? So do you see this retirement tour as a John Cena getting people over tour?
Well, somewhat. You're still going to get your nostalgia moments.
Not.
You're still going to get Cena getting the big wins. Like you said, I absolutely agree with you. I think he's going to take Rick's record. He's going to be the most. He's going to be the winningest champion in company history because he is everything that Vince always wanted. It's a phrase Vince always loved, and I'll keep using it because it's still effective regardless of the man. John Cena has all of the makings to be the Babe Ruth of professional wrestling.
He's right.
And the difference is there is absolutely zero questions about John's character. Mm-hmm. There's zero questions about his personality. He is the perfect example of who you want that guy to be for the company, to trot out for the moments. That's John Cena.
I did read something somewhere that they might have CM Punk and Cena at Mania.
I don't see that.
I wouldn't rule that out, but to me, that's got to be like I think your plan C or D.
I think if you're going to do the Cena nostalgia match at WrestleMania, the only option is Randy Orton.
I can get behind that.
They are the Rock Austin of this generation.
I can get behind that.
They are the Hogan Savage of this generation. They are the feud of this generation. So if you're going to do the nostalgia match at WrestleMania, that's what it is. But I think that's a waste of that moment because it does more putting Cena in there with somebody young, putting him in there with Braun Breaker, and he can get the rub there, and it's not going to hurt Cena. Cena takes an L at WrestleMania and then wins the title 2 months later. Nobody's going to care. But it's still going to be a moment they can build off of, and he can have a little mini program with Braun, because I beat you at WrestleMania, now I want my shot. And then John can get his win back, but you still got the WrestleMania win that nobody can take away from him. And then you can, have Cena drop it back to whoever is next man up. Be that
Who do you think wins the Rumble?
Who do I think wins the Rumble? Oh. Probably Seth. I think he's the most likely candidate to do it, but it could go a lot of different ways, if I'm being honest. This is probably the most open Rumble we've had.
I could definitely see Braun winning it. I could see Braun winning it. I could see Jay winning it.
I think whoever's winning it's going up against Gunther at Mania, right? So
you would think so. Yeah.
So to me, you only have 3 options there. Drew, Seth, Punk. One of those 3 guys are probably winning the Royal Rumble. You're not going to get a complaint out of me out of either of these 3 guys. If anything, like Drew just lost the money match to Punk after putting in a year's worth of great work, and I thought that Hell in a Cell match was amazing. I didn't think a bunch of their second match, if I'm being honest. But I think Drew has earned a shot here to go win a Rumble, and I think his work was so good that he was still getting cheered by some crowds that you could pass him off as a face at Mania. But I won't be shocked if there is no triple threat match for Cody's title. I fully expect that Gunther's title's probably getting a triple threat match. Somehow, some way, whether it's the winner of the Rumble, whether it's Gunther, Punk, Rollins, Rollins, Gunther, Drew.
You just put the idea in my head now, and I can't stop thinking about the Bret Hart nostalgia tour continuing with Seth and Punk doing Rumble '94.
Oh, and they just fucking lose it on one another after the match, and like it just ends to those two fighting. We get to the Royal Rumble press conference. It's just
The
them
actual
fucking-
plan finish of '94 with the actual finish of '05 with the Chaos and Crazy.
Yeah, it'd be very Punk. Now, if someone could teach him how to apply a sharpshooter properly, that would be fantastic. I love Punk, but my God, every time I see him, just like, take your damn Bret Hart hoodie off now.
I can slap on a better sharpshooter than you can, buddy. What are you doing?
Right? Oh, fuck. I always tell my kids too. I'm like, no, it's not this leg, it's that leg.
Stop doing it like him. Do it like Bret.
He does.
And they do it wrong. When he does it wrong, they sit him in the corner.
Like they're stepping into it, but you're
And
stepping like off to the side in it.
Anytime they put it on wrong, do the pull-out cell and just be like, you didn't put it on right.
Yeah, no, for
If you'd
sure.
have put it on the right way, I wouldn't have got out. It works both on the dad level and the respect Bret level.
Well,
our buddy Mike Bell needed to learn the pull-out cell a long time ago.
Like I said, if they do it wrong, you got to put them in the corner for 5 minutes. They'll learn it quick.
Wow. Yeah. Did we all get our say on this Mania stuff?
Yeah.
We'll come back with an AEW topic next week for sure. So, one that's not Shane McMahon related. Unless Shane McMahon shows up, then it might have to be Shane McMahon related. So, I guess I shouldn't promise that. Johnny, what's next?
The director changed Star Wars.
All right. So we're about to get to this in our next segment. Star Wars loses yet another writer, but there seems to be some whispers that the director may go as well. Is it Charmin something Achoy, who has she has no feature film experience at all. She had a couple episodes of Miss Marvel. She has won some massive awards for her documentary work, though, which absolutely should be praised for. But at the end of the day, when you consider the position that Star Wars is in, fellas, you don't even need to be Star Wars obsessed to really have a take on this. They've not had a cinematic win. I'm just being like a real big cinematic win since The Last Jedi. And The Last Jedi ended up dividing a bunch of the fan base, right? And I have some hot takes on that movie that we don't have time for today, but definitely get to it. I'll make 2016 Sean or 2017 Sean look like a complete fucking idiot, which isn't hard to do. But do we think that they're about to lose a director now? There seems to be some rumblings that the director might be gone. Well, to me, you've had your chance to work with Damon Lindelof, Justin, I can't remember his last name, Stephen DeKnight. You've gone through 3 pretty significant writers who've had mass successes elsewhere, including Peaky Blinders with Stephen DeKnight. Lindelof did the Watchmen show. Justin did... I wish I could remember the guy's name. I was looking at all the information earlier today. But either way, they've had...
Forget Lord and Miller?
Well, I'm just talking for this project. If you want to get into everybody they've lost, we'll be here all night. It's more than they've completed projects with, sadly. So I'm going to give this an FE4. It's most likely happening because I think the only way that you get this movie made at this point in time is you bring in a writer and director team that are on the same page to actually get the job done. I think pairing 2 people that don't work together isn't working, and I also don't think we should be throwing this, Charmaine to the wolves. Like, hey, here's your first feature film. It's Star Wars at a time where the fan base is at its most volatile. Good luck. Kind of seems like bad decision making to me. So I'm going with FE4. I do believe that more change is coming. We'll get to that in our Star Wars segment, but yeah, I'm giving it an FE4.
I'm gonna go one above that. I'm giving it an FE5. I think it's a certainty.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we are this far into this project that if it's going to happen, it's going to get a fresh slate, and the only person still around will be Daisy Ridley. I think it's been too long without anything. That I know that's more on writing than directing at this stage, because obviously, you can't direct a movie for a script that doesn't exist yet. So I think it'll be more of a lack of availability thing at the end of the day. Like she's going to move on to other things, and that's just it. Because you can't just sit on the shelf waiting for a maybe the entire time. Like, unless they're paying her a boatload of cash to just sit and wait, which, if I'm being honest, is probably a pretty Lucas thing to do right now. So
Yeah, they probably
might
have her
happen.
under first priority or whatever it's called there, where she's in the lead seat and
Mhm.
has to prioritize that over other projects. But yeah, eventually she'll get sick of that, and her career hasn't exactly taken off since Star Wars. Sorry, I got my cat in my face at the moment.
No, you
You
don't
guys
say.
don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I I just think we've reached a point where they're dangerously close to this thing not happening at all. And so I do think significant change is coming, and I do think it's been hinted at, and I don't think it ends with Steven tonight.
No. Matt, you are muted, buddy.
This almost feels like Solo to a degree. I don't follow the news like I used to. I mean, Mike Zero, he was my Lord and Shepherd, and I believed everything he ever said. And so I met Sean, and Sean told me this guy's an idiot. Then I started believing he was an idiot. No, I think it's going to happen. Daisy's safe. They're not going to, even if she does something, she's going to do it around when this was supposed to start. When was this supposed to start shooting? Wasn't it supposed to be the beginning of the year?
I believe so.
Right.
If not,
This was supposed to be the first movie out.
Right.
This was
on
already
the
supposed to
new
be
slate.
done.
At one point, this was supposed to start shooting last year, and now they don't know if it'll go in production by the end of next year.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, this one was supposed to be done already.
And the question was, do we still think it's going to happen? Is that what it was?
If your belief if they're going to change directors or not.
Probably. So I'm probably gonna be an F4.
All right. Well, that leaves me. I'm going to go FE5, and I'm going to agree with Johnny in just about pretty much everything he said. Too much time has passed. Your director can't just sit on their ass this entire time and not have those creative juices flowing to they want to go out and do something. So unless Disney's just like, don't worry, here's your big boatload of money here to just do nothing. You have to. I feel like it's only a matter of time at this point. Yes, we lost a writer. That's a problem. That means you don't have a script. How long is she going to sit around and wait? but I'm sure there's other opportunities that she's just passing by. There's only so much you're going to sit and wait for. So I like Sean's idea. Let's get a writer director combo. Let's get this all together and make sure that at least, I don't care when they start filming at this point, as long as it's actually filmed. Is there a chance the movie doesn't get made at all? Of course. I mean, how many Star Wars movies have just gone to the wayside because of one reason or another? Primarily Disney execs getting involved way too much. But at this point, if we get anything, I'll be happy. It's probably, like I said, it's definitely going to be a new director. We're already going to get a new writer. So might as well just go for the whole shebang and just kind of keep the story idea, bring in some fresh blood, really kind of hopefully energize everything. And maybe, just maybe, Filoni gives his blessing on everything and we finally get this thing started.
Well, time can only show us what's going to happen, and hopefully we start to have some positive things to discuss rather than the negativity. But, sadly in this case, the negativity is quite deserved at times. So, Johnny, was that last one?
No, we still have two more. Hugh Jackman returning.
So there's a lot of talk that Hugh Jackman will return for more movies in the MCU, despite, a nod at the camera. I mean, he didn't rule it out in Deadpool and Wolverine. He basically said, probably not. But let me tell you, when you go through a Hollywood divorce and you start cashing some pretty fat paychecks from Disney, money talks quite loudly. Do we think that this is a foregone conclusion that Hugh Jackman has not done his last movie as Wolverine? Because if you would have asked me when they first announced this project, I would have said, yeah, this is the only thing he would have come back and did after Logan. But, personal life changes. And often when you see something like a divorce happen in Hollywood, one of the parties usually ends up starting to work a lot. And I honestly, it's an FE5 for me, fellas. It's an absolute lock. He is going to appear more as Wolverine in the MCU. I'm not saying he will be the MCU's Wolverine, but I think he's got one or two more kicks at the can left.
I think it's safely in an FE5. If nothing else, I am 1000% positive he will be back in some form or fashion, at the very least for Avengers Doomsday and Secret War, just because it makes too much sense to not have him. Like, it makes too much sense to have him versus not having him with what you're building up with the multiverse and all of that. So I think it's all but a certainty that you see him at least in those two. Now, does he come back for some of these other rumored projects, like, Hulk versus Wolverine is suddenly making the rounds as a thing people are pushing for, which, as a fan, knowing their history, I wouldn't hate that. However, I'd much rather it be the new Wolverine, whoever that ends up being, as an establishing story for the X-Men, because it makes perfect sense to introduce him in that and then carry on so you get the rub from an Avenger and coming out project. Matt?
Sorry, guys, I was hacking up along.
I was not doing that. Anyway, yeah, it's a 5 for me. Like you said, those Disney checks are probably pretty fat, and I was minimal two more kicks at the can is where we'll see him, and I think Johnny's right. He'll be in Secret Wars for sure. And then whoever I'm gonna be really interested in who they try to cast as a younger Wolverine going forward.
I just don't think they have any pressure right now to do the X-Men. It sounds like they have not gone very far with their their plans for that. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, they're gonna make the announcement and the lineup and when we're getting movies." And last I heard, they're way, 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 way far away from doing that. So I think
Well, hadn't they officially confirmed that the next saga is the Mutant Saga?
Well,
I thought they
think I
officially
heard
said
that.
that at one of the panels.
the latest set of films released that runs through 2028 has nothing for them. So my guess is it is, I believe it was through 2028 and definitely 2027. I just don't think it's on there. I think this is a post next to Avengers movie storyline thing that they're doing, and they're almost fast tracking the next two Avengers movies. And I can't say I'm surprised, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it, of course. But um, you know that remains to be seen. What about you, Randy? You got any thoughts on this?
So, all three of you are FE5. The only reason I'm going to FE4 is this: money is nice, but I feel like unless the story jives with like what he feels should be the next steps for Wolverine, I can see him kind of just biding his time. Not to say that he's not eventually going to show up, but I think he's going to be a little. He can afford to be a little bit picky to some degree. Obviously, Disney money, that's the ticket, but I think he has at least enough control to say this story doesn't make sense for me. So I'm going to pass. You can bring someone else in for you can bring a different character in. Do the Avengers movies make sense? Of course they do. Just because you're going to need all hands on deck, especially with Doomsday. That is going to be an all hands on deck situation that is going to need, and I think that's where we get we get at the X-Men. That's where I think the introduction to the X-Men is really going to be. Will be Doomsday, so we can lead into the next set of Marvel movies, focusing more on the X-Men and fleshing out their characters and whatnot. But beyond that, like I said, I'm an FE4, and I like I said, it's going to happen. It probably happen, but it's going to probably depend on if he likes the story or not. I don't think it's going to be about money.
I mean, I don't know if I can go that far. I think I have far too of a cynical look on the world than Randy does. I think you show up and you say, "Hey," I mean, look at the deal Robert Downey Jr. just scored to return. By the way, it's massive. It's huge. It's of epic proportions. You're looking at, I believe it was like almost $200 million for the two films combined. Use of a private jet, a bunch of other goodies. Like, not saying Hugh Jackman's getting the Robert Downey Jr. deal.
Well, and think about the reasoning behind why they had to do it. This is not that type of situation. They had to scrap the whole Kang saga for obvious reasons. So they had to scramble and get something going. And clearly we got someone who is smart enough to understand and read the comics to understand that, you can technically bring Tony Stark back just as Dr. Doom. So I get it. In this instance, they didn't have anything to do, but they just had to throw everything at him. They're like, "What do you want? We will give you what you want. You want us to bow down and kiss your feet? We will bow down and kiss your feet. You want, multiple private jets? We will give every single jet we own to you just so you come back and film these movies." I get that part.
They want a Darth M. Count mug. That's the truth.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Johnny, final one?
The final one is Spider-Man 4.
So it sounds like Spider-Man 4 is coming back. And by coming back, I mean Tom Holland's coming back as Spider-Man. Sounds like the movie's going to take place in between the two Avengers movies. Sounds like it will take place as an MCU movie. That's the belief, anyways. Whether that comes to be, who knows? Because we've played this game of yo-yo before. How do we feel about Spider-Man 4? Early indications seem to be could be a multiverse type thing again.
I mean, me personally, I saw when Tom Holland was on what's his name last week?
Fallon,
Down.
Kimmel?
Yeah, he was on Fallon, and he pretty much said they start shooting next year and everything. And then I did a little bit of research, and like you said, I think this is going to definitely be a multiverse uh, direction we're heading, and I'm all for that. So I'm can't wait for that one to happen. So I'm a 5 all in, gentlemen. I got to roll. I gotta go do something, but y'all have a great night.
All right,
I
dude.
didn't know if there was more to that or not, but okay.
No. Something popped up. I have to take care of.
Yeah. Well, you have a great night too, man. And thanks for
All
coming.
right. Yes, sir.
Fellas, take it away.
I think, like, obviously it's occurring. It's happening. We know that. We even know directors, writers, and all that stuff. So it comes down to who gets what they want. From everything I've heard, Marvel wanted just a Spider-Man story. Sony wants another epic multiverse story. I personally hope Marvel gets its way. Not just because
You and me both.
Not just because, as continually proven time and time again, Sony doesn't know how to do superhero movies anymore, as proven by the rapid decline in Venom movies.
I haven't seen 2 or 3, but I like the first one.
I've seen the first 2. The second one was not as good as the first one, and the third one just makes me want to bang my head against my desk based on the reviews and synopses and descriptions I've read from people who've seen it and just online sources. But I'm not even touching Morbius and Madam Web because Sony, stop while you're behind. You're in a hole. Stop digging. Okay, let Marvel produce and write and create, and you just take the paycheck they're giving you for doing it. Okay, be happy with that. Stop making stinkers. So you have to have a new one. Obviously, Tom is the linchpin of the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point, from a character perspective. So, the movie is obviously an FE5. It's guaranteed to happen. Is it a multiverse? FE3 could go either way. We know one studio wants that, the other one doesn't. Obviously, like I said, I hope Marvel gets his way and it's not a multiverse movie. I would much rather just have, Peter existing in his world with people not knowing who he is and that story playing out, because that's so much more fun for me. And give me a compelling Spider-Man villain, preferably one we haven't seen before. Yeah, that's generally my thoughts on Spider-Man 4. Just bring the cast back, bring everybody back, run it back, do it over again.
Randy?
So I'm thinking that as we know, with it happening, I think the one thing you should know is that apparently Sony is pushing to fast track a Sinister Six film. So this is why they are pushing for the multiverse film.
That worked out so well the first time.
I know, right? Well, if the Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't so damn boring, it might have actually, they might have actually had a shot at it, but it's just that one dragged on so much. But as for Spider-Man 4, I mean, I'm definitely all for having just a Marvel-based story, just because we need to see the after effects of essentially everybody forgetting who Peter Parker is. It's extremely important, because there's going to be some great drama. There's going to be some real soul searching on Peter's part, which is going to be probably the crux of the film. But then it's figuring out a good, solid character that we really haven't had the chance to meet yet, and that could help push those limits even further. And, maybe by the end, some people like MJ remembers who he is or something like that. That's fine. I'm good with a story like that just because it could help build his character further for the next Avengers film that we know he'll be in. Other than that, Sony, F off. At this point, you've stick to the animation because that's obviously what you guys know how to do well. And yes, you can get your multiverse story that way. Just stick with your animation stuff. Don't worry about the MCU. Marvel's got that covered. And I'm not exactly looking forward to anything that could be Sinister Six related because I just don't feel the characters have been very compelling that they've brought forth for the Sinister Six. So, yeah.
I take serious umbrage with your Amazing Spider-Man 2 comments.
You can't in any universe think that the villains in that movie were good.
No, that's my problem with that movie.
Okay.
Is I think that Andrew Garfield and help me out on the actress's name. Come on, it's on the tip of my tongue. Emma Stone. I think they're fucking out of this world good in that movie.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. They did an amazing job, but the problem is the villains were boring.
Yeah,
and it slowed it slowed the pace of the film down to the point of where I almost nodded off a few times.
Jamie Foxx was awful in it. That was not the way to go with that character. You get a talent like Paul Giamatti, and you use him like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? Paul Giamatti wasn't in that movie. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. We can't be talking about Iron Man Rhino.
And I think the other big problem was, not to rub some feathers the wrong way here, is you were coming off of, a pretty successful Spider-Man trilogy that had a criticized third film. However, the part of that third film people liked the most was Harry. And people, other than Peter, really gravitated towards Harry in that trilogy. Well, no offense to who is it? Is it Calvin DeHaan?
Dane DeHaan.
Dane DeHaan. That's it. Sorry, Calvin's a hockey player. Ex-general, I believe.
Yep.
But for me, you had that wildly successful take on Harry in the original trilogy, and then to go back to him with Dane DeHaan's take, I'm sorry, that's not good. Because they're different characters, mind you, but I just don't think it's close. And so for me, it does fall on the villains, but I actually think the movie's paced quite well. I like the relationship aspects of the film. I like what they're dealing with, the promise to Gwen's dad. I know we're off on a tangent now and still haven't gotten to Star Wars, but the villains failed that movie. And considering Sinister Six was supposed to be the next movie after that movie, having 3 terrible villains in your Sinister Six, maybe not a good idea.
I will say that, despite my critiques of them, of their movies, when they actually do villains well, Sony can be good at it. Like, Venom was a great anti-hero. The second movie had its failings, but I thought Carnage was well portrayed by Woody Harrelson. Probably because it's Woody Harrelson, and that guy can probably make anything look good. But, it worked. I've never watched Madam Web, so I can't say if there's anything redeeming about that movie or not. But they can do villains well now, if they have the right people. But you cannot wipe off and rinse the Amazing Spider-Man cadre of Sinister Six villains and come back with that. You can't come back with Morbius. Can you do a Sinister Six movie? Yeah, I think they could. And I think it could be decent. But there is no universe, to me, that allows for a Sinister Six movie that does not include Spider-Man.
To me, if you're doing a Sinister Six movie, you're doing it with, honestly, probably Tobey Maguire. and not Tom Holland. Because at the moment, like, who the hell's your Sinister Six?
Yep.
Right? Like, and as much as I love Andrew Garfield, and I think everybody wants more Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, including Andrew Garfield, like, you had your chance. You could have had him pop up in any of those Venom movies. And they chose not to.
I will say I'm curious how that Craven movie is going to do. I'll be curious to see if they. I mean, at least it looked like they got Rhino right in this one versus Amazing Spider-Man. So we'll see. Maybe that's what they have to do is just mess with the villains more so than the heroes, because, like I said, animation spot on, but in terms of anything else beyond that,
as long as we get through Craven and realize that Craven was the villain all along, I'm okay with this. If you're telling a story where Craven is the good guy, I have a problem with this because there's nothing about Craven that's good.
I agree.
In the words of Padme Amidala, Queen of Naboo, to segue into our next segment, I file for a vote of no confidence in Sony's ability to put out a good Craven movie. So, with that said,
I second that.
I don't know. The trailer actually looked good. I will give them points. The trailer looked good. I will also say the Morbius trailer looked good. So, you know.
And Matt Smith was the gem in that movie.
You know, yeah, you know.
Smith
Coins in
couldn't
the
even
air
say
for
that.
Craven. The trailer looked good. Now, will they execute on that? Your guess is as good as mine. I'm certainly not going to a movie theater to watch it. Not with the prices of movies today. And then
Oh, it's brutal. You definitely got to pick and choose.
Not doing that. But once it inevitably comes out on, Prime or Netflix, or wherever it ends up as on a streaming home in Canada, I'll watch it then, not a minute before.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we will get to a shortened version of our Star Wars segment tonight, a blast from the past, as we dive in to the Wastelands. This is our Star Wars Wasteland segment of this episode, where we dive into some Star Wars subjects. I sadly can still not see my show notes, but I'm pretty sure I have these ones down. First up, we dove into it a little bit off the top of Fandom Buzz. Let's dive into it here, fellas. The Star Wars Rey Jedi Academy, New Jedi Order, whatever you want to call it, the movie that's supposed to take place 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker, that terrible piece of trash, has lost another writer. And this is writer number 3 at the minimum, could be more. This was supposed to be the final writer on the project. That has not come to be. As Stephen Knight, veteran of Peaky Blinders, after a year and a half on the project, has apparently reportedly said, "Fuck this, I'm done." Now, maybe not those exact words, but apparently he grew frustrated with, well, Randy alluded to it earlier, the constant back and forth and nitpicking of the material he was handing in. And I wish we were on here talking about better things, but it's newsworthy, and so like we need to talk about it. What do you guys think? Like, it's yet another significant behind the camera piece on Kathleen Kennedy's watch. Now, whether this is her fault or not, who knows? I tend to think she has to wear some of it, but where do you guys fall on this? Like, you lose a writer, Stephen Knight's stature, and the director keeps surviving all these changes. And then it should be noted that Daisy Ridley had alluded to something coming prior to that announcement being made, or that report coming out first from Puck Daily, then backed up by Variety. And Then after it came out, Daisy Ridley sat down with Josh Horowitz and said that more news would be coming on the movie fairly imminently. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Do we think the movie's going to come out at all? What do they got to do to get it out? Johnny, I'm going to go to you first with this one, man. We've been doing this since 2015. I've been reinvigorated for various reasons about doing Star Wars stuff. This doesn't put a damper on it for me at all because it's kind of like to be expected at this point in time. But when's enough, man? Not for us, the fans, but like, when is there some accountability here with all the changeover?
I don't know. I mean, turmoil in Star Wars production has become so commonplace that at this point, I'm surprised when there isn't chaos like this, you know? Which is a sad state of affairs to find myself in as a Star Wars fan who's been, talking about it on podcasts for the better part of 10 years. So, I have reached an unfortunate part with Star Wars movies where, I've said it even last week, I think, that until I see footage, I don't get invested because I don't know if I'm going to see it. And that's where I find myself with this movie. I have put no real effort into, caring about it because at this point we're, so far removed from announcing this that it just, when news drops, it's more of a, oh, there's another thing. There's another thing. It's like, it's a good boxer throwing jabs. Every time something goes wrong in Star Wars, and I'm tired of getting jabbed.
I mean, I can't say that I blame you at all. I feel like every time we turn around, it's like, one step forward, 2 or 3 steps back, and that's exactly what we've been getting with this movie. It's unfortunate that, again, you lose another writer. Clearly, there's some sort of miscommunication there. Something is amiss with whether it's, for some strange reason, they can't get on the same page with Filoni, or if it really is just the Disney execs interfering, saying, this is what we want, why aren't you writing this? And whatever the writers are coming up with just isn't good enough for what Disney wants. And I'm always of the frame of mind of just let writers write. Let them get everything they want to get out on the paper, and then you can offer your nitpicks, but don't interfere with them in the middle of the process, because there are other people involved too. Yes, we only have essentially Daisy Ridley on board, and we have a director, but you're going to want people to actually want these roles, rather than having to just be like, oh, well, let's pick a bunch of nobodies to come on in and fill it. You want big name actors to actually get excited about the premise of actually being in a Star Wars movie. And if they're going to see this type of inner turmoil, why would you want to? I wouldn't. If I was an actor, I'd be kind of like, as much as I want to be in a Star Wars movie, I'm going to stay away from this one because there's too much going on. And I think that's the problem. I think that's what we're seeing here with losing a writer. And I'm sure very soon, we'll probably lose the director as well and have to practically start from scratch again. It's a real shame that it got to this point. It's like, it's that one of those things where it's like, as much as it, I'm happy we get to new Star Wars. It's like, George, why did you sell? Why did you sell? And I know the almighty dollar came into play on this one, but I'd rather not have this type of chaos than keep getting, having this roller coaster of good Star Wars, subpar Star Wars, and, having the fan base just be this divided because of just the way Disney's handled it.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, you'd also have far less Star Wars if it was just George Lucas still in charge.
True.
And while that might be a good thing in some respects, could be a bad thing in some respects too, right? Like, so, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a director change. Wouldn't be shocked if one's needed. I hate the idea that, I'm not saying this is what's happened, but when you hire talent in front of the camera, behind the camera, it should not be a diversity checklist of, we need one person like this, one person like that, one person like this, one person like that, 10 people like this, 5 people like that. It should be the most talented person. I'm all for, if you want to get a Star Wars movie directed by a woman, no problem with that whatsoever. Maybe choose a more experienced one, because there's a big difference between making a award-winning documentary and making a 9-figure blockbuster Star Wars movie that's going to be heavily scrutinized. And you got to go a little inside baseball, but not too much, not too inside baseball. That, that worries me. And it's come out too many times now. The Disney side of things, they put the checklist first, and I'm all for representation, but do it smartly. There's more than one qualified woman to direct or write a Star Wars movie. Hell, dare I say, I think I've seen enough out of Bryce Dallas Howard where if you paired her with a damn good writer and maybe, Filoni and Favreau producing the thing with her, I'd give her a shot. I think she's shown plenty.
I was saying, we've seen it in
Agreed.
Mandalorian, and most of the Disney Star Wars shows have featured phenomenal female directing in at least one episode.
Yeah, you see people getting moved in and out, in and out, in and out. Somehow the directors survived all this. Well, look, your writer and your director, they need to be on the same page as much as you possibly can, or things can get messy. It's bad enough when they're not on the same page of a rinky-dink $3 million horror movie. It's another thing when they're not on the same page of a $200 million major motion picture film that is going to determine how frequently you can make these things. And I didn't understand the hire, and I'm not blaming her, by the way, because this could be Kathleen Kennedy, it could be Disney executives, it could be all of the above. But I just think at this point, you've been through so many writers now, there's been so much overturn, that I don't think this project's getting made unless you sit down, start from square one. You can have your concept of a story idea that you want to do something 15 years after The Force Awakens with Rey and New Jedi. That's great. But I think you need to sit down with a new writer, a new director, and say, this is our roadmap. This is how we're going to go about getting this done. Otherwise, we're going to have more stories like this, and you're going to have the lovely divided fandom into 4 pizza slices, where you got the quarter of it that defends everything they do blindly and they can do no wrong. You'll get the other quarter of it where they do everything wrong. You'll get the other quarter of it where I place myself, where I'm still a Star Wars fan, and all the negativity is not going to stop me from being a Star Wars fan, but it definitely lightens my enthusiasm a little bit for some of this stuff when we have so many failed projects. And then you have the other set of fans, like our old co-host Mondo, where the divisiveness in the fandom and the constant canceled projects has really driven a lot of the passion out of him. And I hate that, because, well, these billion-dollar companies spend 9 figures on movies. The average Joe puts a ton of money into some of these projects. I'd hate to add up the bill Mondo, Johnny, and I had from just all of the Force Awakens stuff. Between movie tickets, collectibles, everything.
Force Friday?
And it's like, the fans deserve better. You're not going to please all the fans. That ship has sailed.
That ship was never in the port.
Right, but like, you're never having the Force Awakens again, even. Like,
No.
you're just not. That's done. It's gone. Now it's about how can you make effective big budget movies that keep people entertained and want to come back to see more. And I don't buy the whole We have no source material to lean on. Bullshit.
That is bullshit.
It's a bullshit excuse that I hear way too many people throw out.
Considering how much they pull from Legends, you might as well just continue to do so. Like, give people the stories that they're clamoring for, especially the fans who've read the books, who understand all the different nuances of just how the characters have grown and other characters that we would love to see that we've just, it's like, how can they not be canon? I feel like the Rey's, Jedi Order movie has that potential. Even, yes, they might not interact with Luke, but you can bring some of these characters in as Jedi she's trained. You could, and if you have to change the canon a little bit just to get some of the, change the lore some of it, just to get some of these old Jedi characters that we all grew up loving, that we would love to finally get to see that live action debut. Let's do it. I mean, why not? If we get, someone like Kyle Katarn or Mara Jade or somebody, Corran Horn, there's a real chance here to bring some of these favorite literary characters to life if they just pull their head out of their ass and just accept that this is what a lot of fans want, especially the ones that read the books. They want to see these characters finally brought to life.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make excellent points. There's a ton of characters that you could pick from. I still think like the biggest money idea that they could do over, several movies would be to try to find a way, and like you need to start yesterday with how old people are getting. Try to find a way to tell a story that goes across multiple timelines. Whether you're using the World Between Worlds or you got full on Mortis or whatever, but find a way where you can have Hayden and Ewan involved as Obi-Wan and Anakin, but they come across the mission during the Clone Wars. There's plenty of ways you can wipe their memory from it, or even Force Ghosts. Find a way to have Luke, Han, and Leia in there, or at least the Filoni characters in that timeline right now, and find a way to have Rey and company in it. And you tell some sort of story that spans across time. It's literally a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Like, you can play with time like that. They've already played with it. One of the problems I do think they have is getting people back in the theaters for not necessarily star power, but character power. Like an Obi-Wan film, I think would have done well because people love Obi-Wan. A Yoda film probably would have done well. But when you talk about a new Rey movie, you are appealing to a very, very limited part of that fan base. And as a guy who's driven bus for multiple cities over the last decade, let me tell you, kids today are not playing with Star Wars toys, the mass majority of them. They're not. You got a problem that you need to fix.
Yeah, the fandom was saved through merchandising. That's one of the things that George was so far ahead of the game on. It's not relevant today. It's just not. Even with the movies that we got, it still wasn't a big part of it. And that is a horrible thing for Disney. That they couldn't capitalize on the one segment of the market that Star Wars has had a stranglehold on since 1978.
I mean, yeah, that was a genius of Lucas. He kept the rights for all the merchandising, so that when he got his stuff out there and people were buying it, that man made a lot of money, and Disney should have followed suit, but they didn't. Right now, a lot of the stuff that people buy, it's usually, people buying stuff up to go to cons to sell to people like me. They're like, oh, I haven't seen this before, or it's like, oh, I saw this at the store for $20. I'm going to go to the store and buy it there.
Yeah, we've been behind the dickheads that walk down an aisle in Forest Friday and put their arm on a shelf and sweep everything off into their cart.
Yep.
Yeah, those assholes. But in all seriousness, it's a shame that because they do have characters that they can market, and they're not. I mean, think about how unprepared they were for when, the Baby Yoda craze from Mandalorian season 1. They had enough. They didn't even think that people would gravitate towards that character. They was because they were thinking it was going to be all about Din Djarin. Nope. Boy, were they wrong. And they were scrambling that Christmas to try to get something out there.
I don't want to play Lucasfilm defender here too much because I don't think they deserve it, frankly. But if you listen to Filoni tell that story and Favreau, they say they didn't know it was going to be as big as it was, but they thought it would be a hit. But they also didn't want the news getting out there before the episode aired. And the second that you start to involve merchandisers and all that shit, guess where all the leaks come from, people that get out there for your favorite movies and stuff? It's almost always a third party.
Hey, look what we saw at the picture for what's going to be at Comic-Con. All the damn Lego sets that ruin stuff.
The prime example is superhero movies. How many times has a surprise villain or a surprise appearance or a surprise character been spoiled by the action figure toy line?
Funko Pop's another one does it.
Exactly. Like it's ridiculous how piss poor their trade craft is with these companies that they're making millions and billions of dollars on, that they can't keep their mouth shut.
Yeah, and you know what? To me, they've had three things in Disney or Star Wars hit mainstream media, and they're on different levels. One was massive, and they weren't in position to take advantage of it. And I still think, Baby Yoda Grogu is going to sell well enough for theaters and merchandising for this movie. But it isn't going to be like if the movie had come out in 2022, 2023, or even this year. Things not coming out till 2026. We watched Baby Yoda grace our screens at the end of 2019. There's a window for these things. Some people talk about the success of the original trilogy being more about when it came out rather than how it came out or the fact it came out at all. I look at it and Baby Yoda was huge. It's the one where you can say it hit mainstream, it got huge, it was everywhere. One thing, fellas, in 12 years of doing this, the other two that I would put asterisks by is The Mandalorian, right? You got to give Din Djarin some credit there. And Kylo Ren before they went the direction they went at the end of The Last Jedi with the character. Those three, for me, are the three biggest pieces of marketing they've had in their new era. And they ruined one and almost ruined all three when you consider what they did with the third season of Mandalorian.
I can't disagree with you there. I would say if you wanted to say 4, I mean, from what I'm seeing just at cons and stuff alone, Ahsoka's been pretty big as well. But you got to figure it's not just the series. A lot of people are still fans of Ahsoka just from Clone Wars too. So, but they definitely put their best foot forward with marketing her just as much as the rest of them.
Yeah, I got to give Filoni and Lucas the credit on that one.
Oh, absolutely. But it also helps that it was a good show, and we've had good stories with Ahsoka, and that character has developed so well over the years since Filoni created her. So that does play a big part in that as well. So it's not like what we got with, say, Kylo Ren, where it started off great and then they just destroyed the character. Obviously, Filoni was not going to let Disney ruin his baby.
Oh, he's going to try not. Anyways.
At this point, yes.
We'll see how that continues for Ahsoka, which is one of few things that is actually getting a second season here. And it lets you know how far the Filoni movie is off when you consider we'll get the second season of Ahsoka before we get a Filoni movie, and the second season of Ahsoka, like at best, you're looking at late 2026 for. So it's a ways off from now, probably a couple years from now, realistically, which probably puts that other movie. I'm sure they'd love to have it out in 27 for 50 year, but I don't know how likely that is at this point in time. The Rey movie, if it happens, is probably more likely to that date now than the Filoni movie. And that's the other thing. Like, as a guy who has some significant health issues, I'd like to see some of this, come to light before too long. Obviously, do it right because rushing them out doesn't help. You did a rushed ass job apology movie for 9, and you made things worse. So yeah, we'll see where that goes from here. The other piece of news that I did want to get out there before we get out of here is it was reported that filming had wrapped on the Mandalorian and Grogu by I think Puck Media or whatever, and then Variety also covered a little bit of it. According to Bespin Bulletin, and I always go Bespin first when it comes to this stuff. According to Bespin, filming has wrapped for some people, while for others it will continue likely through December. So that makes a little more sense, just in terms of when they got started and then having to stop. And sounds like Pedro's going to have to go back to do more, which is not surprising considering how early he did his stuff. And he's quite busy at the moment. So we'll see what happens there. But some positive news, anyways. It's a significant way into filming, and that's a movie I have no doubt we're going to see. But yeah, that's going to do it for the show tonight. I had a couple other topics, but we'll have to save them. Johnny, where can everybody find you at, man?
Oh man, you can find me here, there, and everywhere. Twitch.tv/bros before pros.
Randy, how about you?
Well, obviously Tuesdays you can find me here, but also on X it's at Giggity Giles, and right now every week on Thursdays we are recording the Sports Brew for the football season, and you can just Google Sports and Brew. You should find us, no problem.
We got watch parties coming up for multiple Halloween movies: Halloween Kills, Halloween 4, Halloween Resurrection, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Hope to get them all in before the end of November. Would like to do one more here in the next couple of nights, but we'll see what happens in terms of scheduling and all that stuff. Big thanks to our channel sponsors. Without them, we wouldn't be here doing what we do. Jason, Backtrack Cinema, Jesse, Storytime Spectacular, Ryan at Colleague Nation, Matt from right here at Fandom Empire. For Johnny and Randy, big thanks to Matt for coming out earlier. Get well soon. Kieran, Johnny, as always, our thoughts are with you and your family and what's going on right now, brother. Head up, man. For the audience, I promise a longer Star Wars segment next time. We got carried away a little bit with wrestling and Fandom Buzz, so apologies for that. And even Happy Gilmore, that was turned into a bit of a longer discussion, but it's fun. It was fun. That's it's the one thing you get with Fandom Empire is sometimes we'll catch a topic and all of a sudden that what was supposed to be a 5-minute topic turns into 25 minutes and you end up getting a different highlight from your show than what you were expecting. But until next time, we'll see you again when the Empire calls.